Hi, my name is Brent Baker, and I'm the Vice President for Student Life. Not anymore. I'm the Vice President for Advancement here at Anderson University.
Either one, Brent.
Well, that's right. It's nice to start off on a roll. If you were with us the last time, Scott and I were in the studio here in July. It was an introduction to Scott, and we wanted to invite him back and invite you to join us to hear an update on how things are going at the university over the last 8 months. There's a lot of good information to share with you. We're excited about some things that God is doing on our campus. We'd also like for you to hear from a student who is one of our finest, and glad for you to meet her. And we also want to finish just letting you know how you can continue to support AU. For those of you that have not met Scott, either virtually or at one of our in-person meet and greets over the last, as I said, 7 or 8 months, I want to just give a very brief introduction. Scott comes to us from Southwest Missouri Baptist, where he was the executive vice president, and he served there for about 3 years. Prior to that, he served another 32 years at 3 other Christian colleges and spent a good deal of time at Crown College, which is just outside the Twin Cities. Scott comes to us well prepared to serve in this role. I won't go through the litany of degrees, for instance, but he has 6 earned degrees and include something that I think is rather unique, an MBA and also an MDiv. He served as a pastor. He served on the academic side and the business side of the university. And after 35 years, he's joined us here at Anderson University, and we're excited about that. Scott is married to his better half, Cheryl, and they have 2 adult children, Shelby and Scotty. Scott, before we dive into some of the update that you're going to give to us, provide for us, I guess I'd like to ask you to share personally just what's encouraged you in the last several months as you've served with us.
Yeah, Brent, that's kind of a tough question, because there's been a lot of things that have been incredibly encouraging. Things that just roll off just simply the warm welcome that we've received, the students and how they've responded to us coming here. Those are all positive things. But I think the one that I like the most is I got a call from a parent that said he wanted to meet me. And that was a little scary, because after 35 years, you put up the deflector shields when a parent wants to call. It didn't give a lot of information. But to make a long story short, he came into the office and shared with us that his daughter had come to Anderson University without having a saving knowledge of Jesus. And while she was at Anderson here in the first semester, she gave her life over to Christ. And so that reinforced to me why we do what we do. Yeah. And we've said this often, but it really rings true that we continue the legacy of Anderson University, where faith and education intersect to allow the Holy Spirit to transform lives. And when we get to see it, it's just not words anymore, but it's people and it's actual lives that are being changed. That makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. And I also know that Cheryl has had quite an impact on campus. Anything you'd share about her and her time with us?
If I've made this impact, Cheryl's made this impact. So Cheryl's an outgoing people person, and she loves people, and she loves to be with people. One of the most impactful things, or at least the most prevalent thing, is our annual or weekly cookie day. So Cheryl puts a flag out on the end of the driveway, and students will come into the house. And it's really kind of fun to watch, because they come in there and she goes, when they leave, she'll say something like, we're glad you're at Anderson University. I love you. We love you. And thanks for being a Raven. And so everybody that walks in the house or walks out of the house gets a little bit of a hug, whether they like it or not.
I'm sure most like it, I would guess. So as we look ahead, what are some things that give you hope about our future right now?
I think the thing that's most interesting to me is this is not my first rodeo when it comes to the type of work that needs to be done in a very challenging environment in higher ed today. Particularly Christian higher ed is facing an incredible challenge. And I think the thing that's most encouraging, I have a timeline in my head where I've seen turnarounds happen, where I've seen things begin to change. And it usually takes about a 2 to 3, maybe even a 4-year on-ramp to get some things to change. It's just difficult to do. But the thing that's most encouraging about Anderson University, we have seen some monumental change in a very short period of time. To a point where sometimes I go home and I go, am I living a dream here? Because God has just poured out his blessing on Anderson University. I've often said this wherever I go, I'm just the guy who wears the tie, because it rhymes and I never wear a tie. So it actually it explains that we're just God's people doing his work, and we lead the results to him. And so that's the most encouraging thing for me, is that God is at work at Anderson University, and we just get to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I've heard you say that in your leading, you didn't want to offer just hope, but you also wanted to come with a plan. And I can just say that that's truly been part of the leadership that you've given to us at this point. I've heard you talk about a faithful campus action plan. Can you talk a little bit about that and give some explanation what that means?
Well, when Cheryl and I decided that we were going to come to Anderson, we believed that God was calling us here. And we knew that it was going to be a challenge for us. This is my first presidency. I've never sat in this seat before. I've often taken a role that has been secondary to the president. So when we came here, I thought to myself, we need a plan. And when I was praying about coming, God led me to the book of Nehemiah. And we all know the book of Nehemiah. I don't have to explain too much about it, but Nehemiah was in captivity. He was a governor, a cupbearer, if you will. And God led him to rebuild the wall in Jerusalem. And in Nehemiah 2, verse 18, he explains the plan to the people. And the people said, let's rise up and build. Let's do the good work that it takes to rise up and build. And so I believe God laid that on my heart. And as a result of that, we began to formulate with the cabinet. So this wasn't done in a vacuum. I didn't come up with this myself. It was a group of individuals that love Anderson dearly, and we came up with what we call the Faithful Campus Framework. And the Faithful Campus Framework, briefly, and we could talk the entire time, but briefly, the Faithful Campus Framework is first and foremost, we view everything through the eyes of faith. I like to say it, we're going back to the rock. We're going to elevate the purpose of why we're here, and that is to continue the legacy of Anderson University where faith and education intersect. We're going back to the rock, the foundation. The rest of the action plan just spells out the word campus. The C and the AMPS is just merely an acronym for the things that we're building. And we're building on clear and compelling communication, which is the C. The A is aligned programming. The P is collaboration and partnerships, or I guess partnerships and collaboration. U is for updating facilities, and the S is for student recruitment and retention. And it's critical that we action and operationalize each one of those building blocks, that we continue to move forward. And then my background is in organizational behavior. One of the things that I've often seen in the work that I do is that a lot of people can develop a plan, but very few people can actually transact the plan. Right. So Anderson University is all about transacting the plan. So we created an accountability matrix where we measure each one of these building blocks, and we set out elements for those blocks, and we hold people accountable to those blocks. So Anderson University on a quarterly basis is checking in on how we're doing on our building plan and to making sure Anderson is being successful in what we said we're going to do.
Yeah, and I just as one who is accountable to doing that, you are asking us to update the accountability matrix, and it's probably also good just to say and know that the board is kind of the force behind that to say they're holding you accountable to these things, and so I really appreciate that and think the board is also doing a great job in kind of helping you hold us all accountable to the good things that are going on.
One of the things, and I'm glad you mentioned that, I want to spend a few moments on this, is that I've worked with a lot of boards over the last 35 years. The one thing that I really appreciated about this board is when I came, they gave us a list of goals that they wanted accomplished. I don't know if I've had that. Now, it may have been between the board and the president at these other schools, but I'd never seen it. So this is the first time I've seen where board has come in and say, here are the things. And what I really like about it is board sits as a policy governing board, and we transact it. So they gave us the goals, we operationalized them, and we said, here's how we're going to accomplish them. Yeah. So kudos to our board. They're doing a great job, and we really appreciate the holding us accountable to move Anderson forward.
Yeah, that's right. You've already mentioned Nehemiah, but I wonder if you might just say a little bit more about why that book has been special, and maybe that leads into the Nehemiah challenge, prayer challenge, and just some of that. Can you share along those lines?
Yeah, I think what struck me is, I always say we took a page out of Nehemiah's playbook, and that when I got to Anderson University, I promised the cabinet that I wouldn't do an exegetical study of Nehemiah, but we pulled out 10 leadership lessons out of Nehemiah. And as I was looking at that, it wasn't like I had this cooked in my head before I came. This was an interaction with our cabinet, our leadership team, and the interaction with the leadership team honed and sharpened this idea of rise up and build. And so I remember the provost came to me one day and he goes, we got the idea of rise up and build, but how are we going to do that, and why are we going to do that? So as a result, it pushed us, and it kept pushing us to articulate this clear and compelling vision of what we wanted to do. And I think that's the value of a leadership and a team of leaders that can come together and interact in a way that can spur us all on to do better and bigger things. The Nehemiah 2:18 challenge, and this is for you out there if you're listening to us, and if you go to the book of Nehemiah and you get to the 2nd chapter, verse 18, I've already mentioned this briefly, but Nehemiah shares the plan with the people, and the people respond to the plan, and they say, let's rise up and build. And I think that's the essence of what we're trying to do here. One person can't build a university. It takes a university to build the university. And so as our team articulates what we are looking for, our vision for the future, it's the individuals on our campus, including our students, that are rising up to build. And it's not just building for our own sake and our own glories, but it's to build to glorify God. And we're building into the lives of students, we're building our infrastructure, we're building our financial strength, we're building all of these things. We're building trust. We're building communication that, even if it's hard communication, we're going to communicate with people because people need to know and want to know. So it's a building project from start to finish. And that's the draw from Nehemiah to me. And I think don't quote me on this, but you're going to, it's either 52 or 53 days that wall was rebuilt in Jerusalem. I've often said it's going to take us a little longer than 52 days, 53 days, but nonetheless, with God's power and His people, we can make this work.
So out of this came the Nehemiah Prayer Challenge. Can you explain what that is, and kind of love to hear then what you feel like has been some of the results?
Yeah, it dawned on me one day that we needed something to capture people's attention. So we call it the Nehemiah 2:18 Challenge. And so I've asked people to set their alarm on their clock for 2:18 in the afternoon.
Or their phone.
Or their phone, yeah. Oh,
most likely.
I'm old. It's a clock. But on their phone. And when the phone goes off, pray for God's freedom and favor that Anderson University might rise up and build. And what's the most, I guess, thrilling thing is I've been in meetings where we have everybody around the table, the alarm goes off at 2:18. And we know then that God is at work, God is moving in the hearts of our people, and people are grasping this idea that we pray first, and then we work like it all depends on us and pray like it all depends on God, and Anderson University will be in good hands.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think we've seen God move. We've experienced freedom and favor. And I wonder if you'd share some examples of that have been particularly encouraging to you.
My good friend to my right here came in one day and said, I'm going to start writing this stuff down. And so Brent started a list, and the list goes on and on and on. Mm-hmm. But I think, and I'm not getting specific, I'm getting general here, but some of the cool things is Brent will run into the room. You'll run into the room and go, I got to share this with you. This is God's freedom and favor. Mm-hmm. We've had some challenging times to raise funds. And the alumni and the donors of Anderson University have come out in groves.
Yep.
And we have seen gift after gift after gift.
Yeah.
Some people that haven't given for years gave again this year. We saw an opportunity to get a large gift to help us to rebuild Mockholt Stadium. People that were here before us started working on the ERTC money. It's the Employee Retention Credit tax that the government was giving out, and it kind of stalled. Mm-hmm. And so we did a few more paperwork issues, and we ended up with $3.2 million. Yeah.
And we really believed we weren't going to. I mean, we had let go of it.
Yeah, we
didn't think it was coming.
Yeah, it was over. And yet, I just remember this. We filled out the paperwork, and it seemed like a week later, and Mike Fracazza, our VP for Finance, calls me up, and he has a picture with his phone of the check for $3.2 million. Yeah. And that is God's freedom and favor, bar none, because we didn't do anything. Yeah. We just watched God work, and those types of things were just incredible. We've seen freedom and favor in almost every one of our building blocks. Mm-hmm. The communication that we're doing, the campus update, which we'll talk about in a little bit, everything from campus alignment. We have some programming that's happening overseas that it dropped in our lap. So in every one of those verticals, we've seen God move in his freedom and favor in miraculous ways. And there are days, and I say this to Brent all the time, is this like real? Is this happening? I can't believe this is happening. Yeah. And one of the things that was most exciting for me is the speed at which it's started. I've never seen things go this fast. It's usually you gain momentum, but when you start out this fast, boy, we're going to be flying here.
Yeah, I hope so. We pray so, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple of things that early on, you made some difficult decisions related to how we were going to staff campus safety, and we made some changes in our dean structure related to student life and the spiritual life. And, change is hard. Yeah. And some of that was received with skepticism or disbelief. But can you share a little bit about kind of in those particular areas how that has, in fact, turned around to be a really good thing, which feels like favor?
Yeah. I do want to acknowledge the fact that for every decision that's made, there are good and bad. Mm-hmm. And if you're out there listening and you happen to be on the bad end, that's part of it. I mean, we feel bad. Mm-hmm. Anderson University is not filled with a spreadsheet. It's filled with people. Mm-hmm. And when decisions are made about people and they no longer have a place at the table, it's hard. And we lament that because these people gave their life. But some of the things that we did when we came in is that we changed the Anderson police force. And so in the previous school that I was in, we decided that we were going to use the criminal justice program as kind of the way to enhance some of the things we're going to do. We're going to shrink the actual police force, get a police chief, and then run it with students. Well, we hired a police chief, and the next thing you know, there were 100 ideas coming out of the thing. And I think we're stronger today than we were in the past in terms of numbers. And we have a group of individuals that are volunteering their time, but they are full-blown police officers.
Right, they're academy trained.
They're academy-trained police officers that are volunteering their time. And that is freedom and favor right there.
Right. Yeah.
And then one of the things that I was convinced that, because I was reading our mission statement one day, and it said faith and education. We're educating for a life of faith and service. Mm-hmm. And I said, we have to put our organizational structure in line with our mission. And so we made some changes around the idea of instruction and faith. And so we had to elevate the student life, and so we created a dean of student life and a dean of spiritual life, which would match the deans on our academic side, so we could see a level playing field. So I believe right now that our organizational structure meets the opportunities that we're trying to create for our students.
Yeah, and just to clarify, both the dean of students and the dean of spiritual life report to the provost in the same cabinet.
Yep.
The same provost cabinet as the 3 academic deans. So it truly is a side-by-side grouping, which is an elevation of the role of,
and it was intentional. We didn't fall into this, and we had enough support to do this. And again, not everybody was thrilled, but we believe that this is what God has called us to do. And as a result of that, we believe that God will honor the changes that we've made.
Well, recently, we've shared some big news involving changes to the AU campus footprint. And I would like to have you talk about the specifics of that. But first, it's probably important just to say a few words about why it was necessary.
Yeah. Part of our building blocks is mission-informed stewardship. And each one of those words means something. Is that this is not just about finances, this is about stewardship. Mm-hmm. And what God has called us to is to steward the resources that we have. I think where a lot of times we get in this bad habit of starting to complain of what we don't have, and we lose track of what we do have. Mm-hmm. And so the idea is to keep the eye on the ball and say, let's steward what we do have. And when we look around the campus, our footprint was just too big for us to steward for the size of the campus that we had. We'd accumulated some land that we weren't using. We'd accumulated some buildings that we weren't using. And so I believed at the time that we needed to change our footprint to be better stewards. And that's the why we went down this road. And just in a sense, to be good stewards with what God has given us.
Sure. We've kind of talked about this in terms of addition by subtraction. So we have had subtraction, but we feel like there's some real positive to it as well. Can you share kind of some of the specifics, but just kind of in addition to that?
I'm a finance guy, so this is the thing that probably turns my crank, but it's a spreadsheet, and most people don't care. But when we look at some of the turn that this move is making, is we're going to lower our debt considerably. So by releasing some of the property we have, we will also release that debt. Along with that debt, we're going to release on another piece of property all of the deferred maintenance. So that turnaround in and of itself is huge for our operational budget. Debt servicing is way too big for our campus, and I won't get into the details because people's eyes glaze over. But the idea of you borrow money, you have to pay it back. And that hits our budget, our operating budget. And so it detracts from what we want to do on our campus in ministry. So to lower that debt is to lower that operational cost. The other things that we are getting from this is that we are centralizing the campus. We are going to bring Myers back, and we're going to bring Rice back on campus. And that, to me, is it's all about cookie access.
Rice for life, I hear.
Rice for life. And so if we consolidate our campus, I'm a big believer in student life, and particularly, and if you're 18 to 22, you won't believe this, but I believe that part of our co-curricular plan at a university like this is living in community. Interacting in community. It does so much. I know everybody wants to be independent. They want to live in an apartment. They want to live in a room by themselves. But I believe that if we can create an environment where we can have a community That's what God intends for the church. That's what God intends for his people, to live and work and interact in community, particularly if you're different than me. It teaches us how to live in community and to be with one another, even though maybe we don't like some of the things we do. But we have to love each other. And that's one way to do it. So we're bringing our campus back together. We've seen some favor in that. We're consolidating our campus. We are lessening our debt. We're eliminating some deferred maintenance, which is transformational in terms of our financial position.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I think we'll make a pivot now. I'd like for you to meet our friend Lauren Smith. Lauren, if you want to come join us here. Lauren is a senior from just down the road, Muncie, Indiana. And she's a delightful gal. I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about herself. And I asked her to share just about her AU experience this year in particular, things she might be enjoying and involved in, and we'll maybe have some other follow-up questions.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, my name is Lauren Smith. I'm a senior studying engineering management, and I have a minor in athletic coaching. So I have a little variety, and I'm a part of the women's basketball team as well. And then,
Go Ravens.
yeah, I lead campus ministries, and then I'm a co-coordinator of FCA. So I have a variety of experience on campus here. And, you know, there are a lot of things I'm excited about, you know. Yes, we're playing some good ball right now, but I want to focus on the spiritual aspect of things. You know, with campus ministries and FCA, we just have seen a movement, and God is moving under the surface in unexplainable ways.
Yeah. And you've had friends that you have been able to minister to, I'm guessing, and new friends that have come into your circle, and that's part of the FCA outreach, I would suppose.
Yeah, of course. I mean, FCA, Owen Maccabee, he's who I lead it with. We started it my freshman year here at AU. We didn't have an FCA, and we were like, man, we're a Christian university. Why don't we have an FCA? And, you know, God aligned us in a way, and we started it. And so, I mean, I remember when it was just Owen and I at the meetings, you know, and maybe one other person. We would have 5 people, and we'd be like, yes, you know, this is so big, you know, like, you know, see what God's doing. And it didn't always go our way, and it didn't always go to our plan. Yeah. But we just stayed faithful and prayed faithfully. And, you know, now we have 20, 30, even 40 students coming on a consistent basis. And it's not about the numbers. It's about the students being willing to live out their faith and just God tugging on their hearts. You know, I have a community full of athletes, you know, who are going through the same experiences that I'm going through. They're sharing the same struggles and the good things. And it's just provided a space for our athletes just to live out their faith.
Yeah. I don't know if FCA had anything to do with recent baptism. I guess it was back in the fall semester, if any of those students were FCA kids. But can you share just, I don't know if you were able to be at that, experience that, and if you could describe some of that, it'd be great.
Yeah, I was not able to be at the one this year. I went to the one last year, and a few of them were my friends, and so that was just really amazing to see God working so close to me. It was like, man, these are my friends' lives that are, the trajectory of their lives are being changed because of the work that's being done here. And it's just been, like, I don't really have any good word for it. And the change that we've seen in spiritual life, like FCA, we used to meet in the evenings on Tuesdays, and now we meet at the 11 o'clock slot where chapel used to be. It's a part of our spiritual formation groups, and that has just completely elevated that meeting time. Athletes don't have any conflicts with practices or games, and so it's the students that want to be there. They're coming, and they're giving it their all and their input. And Owen and I have just been absolutely blown away by their willingness to step out and lead. And, you know, as Owen and I leave and transfer that leadership, I mean, we're so beyond excited and ready to hand it off with full confidence that God is going to keep moving.
Yeah, that's great. It's so good to hear. One thing that I want to say before you step off screen is just, I think we have a belief, certainly I do, being an old student lifer, that the most influential folks on campus to students are other students. And so to the degree that we can influence leaders like you, and to the degree that you take on the mantle of leadership and influence your friends, I just think that is so incredibly powerful. I think faculty are right there because they're amazing, but I think that students like yourself and Owen and others really help us to be all that we can be and all that we want to be. And so I guess I want to say thanks to you and appreciate your willingness to serve on campus in that way. So
Yeah, of course.
yeah, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks.
Lauren is being a little modest. The basketball team's not just doing good, they're doing phenomenal. If you haven't been to an AU women's basketball game lately, you need to come. The women are on fire. It is so fun to watch. It is just, it's electric in the gym. And I'm thrilled to death. My wife is thrilled to death. She's probably one of your biggest cheerleaders. And we love to watch our athletes perform on the court, in the field. We went to a track meet the other day as well. The thing that I'm excited about, and I'll piggyback on what Lauren said, is we made an intentional move with Chapel, which could have been met with a lot of controversy. And maybe if you're out there, I would like to explain to you a little bit of that controversy and maybe dispel it, is that we moved from a Tuesday, Thursday Chapel platform to a Tuesday platform, and then what I called affinity groups or spiritual life groups or spiritual formation groups on a Thursday. That wasn't met with overwhelmingly positive, but we went into that with a let's go try it and see what God would do with that kind of a mix. And that was to allow the students to have small groups where they could get real with one another. I believe in corporate worship. I believe in corporate prayer. I believe in corporate preaching. But I also believe that God works in small groups. And so we took a risk. And hopefully the Fellowship of Christian Athletes filled in that gap and overwhelmed us with the positive things that are happening. So I think I personally believe it was a good move. And I'm so thankful that we have leaders like you, Lauren, that took up the mantle and to carry this home for us.
Yeah. Well, as you have heard, there's a lot of positive things going on, and it's also fair to say it's still a challenging environment. And so I asked Scott if he might just share, some of the challenges, some of the headwinds that we continue to face and at Anderson University, and like many other Christian colleges our size, so we're not unique in that, but probably helpful to just outline a few of those things that we face.
So in the 35 years that I've been doing this, I think this is probably one of the most challenging environments that we have been in. So Brent and I are contemporaries. We've seen a lot happen over these last years in higher ed and Christian higher ed in particular. We've seen the swing in demographics has probably been one of the biggest things that I've recognized. And we all knew the demographic was going to change. The demographic cliff has been prophesized for years now. But when you're actually in it, you feel it. And you feel it in a very pronounced way. Is this less students that are eligible to go to universities? And so we feel that in our retention, we feel that in our recruitment, we feel that all across the board. And our revenue streams are students. More importantly than a revenue stream, they're our mission. And so without students on our campus, we can't complete our mission. And so we feel that challenge. The rising cost of expenses, it's just crazy. COVID changed the world in terms of supply chain, all the way down to the availability and the cost of doing business. Anymore, if a chiller goes down on a building, it's $1 million. We have aging infrastructure currently right now. Things just wear out. And they need to be replaced. And when you don't stay ahead of that game, it just becomes overwhelming and it just mounts and mounts. When I came, I said typically turnaround happens in 3 cycles. The first cycle is you do kind of the front work, the hard work, if you will, but you align budgets and you manage budgets. The second year is the most difficult year. And that is because you pulled all the one-time levers your first year to get that balanced budget. And then in year 2, there is no more levers to pull. Now you have to make it work. And even more importantly than making it work is there's a cultural change that needs to happen. And changing a culture it's harder than balancing a budget.
Right.
And so in FY27 is year 2 for us. We've got a lot of work to do in changing culture. We've got a lot of work to do in balancing budgets. We've got a lot of work to do in managing our footprint and how it works, our deferred maintenance and all of those pieces. And then people don't talk like this a lot, but the federal government and the state governments are always pulling money out of the education coffer. And so we've relied heavily upon subsidies from federal and state legislature, and they're running out of money too. And they're constantly pulling back. So our financial aid, the way they're doing the math on financial aid is changing. And so then it gives less financial aid to students, which then they have to make choices too. So those are just some of the challenges. But I do want to end with this, is while those are challenges, we serve a bigger God than those challenges. And I think I said this to you today. I'm not sure. It could be a blur. I tell Brent a lot of things. He probably gets tired of me telling him things. But one of the things I said was I've been kind of forecasting that 27 is going to be a tough year for us, and that we've got to make some hard decisions, and we've got to stay true to what we are doing. And it dawned on me, or Brent told me this today, is that the God who showed up in FY26 is the same God in FY27. And that was kind of a challenge to me, going, yeah, well, God showed up in 26. What makes me think he won't show up in 27 or 28 or 29?
Right.
So it's a bit, it put me back on my heels. And I love the way you say this, because it's actually, it resonates with me. Brent will often say, Scott, you don't have the power to screw this up. This is a God thing. And I like the way that is, because sometimes you get in your head, it's all about you, but it's not.
Right.
And you don't have to carry that burden, because we just have to be faithful. And we don't have the power to make it work or not to make it work. This is a God thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I keep Brent close. He's my Church of God whisperer.
Am I your hype man?
No, hype man, you're my reality guy. You're the one that's always whispered in my ear going, this is a God thing. So I so much appreciate you doing that all the time.
Yeah. Well, as we close, how would you invite this community of folks that are taking in this broadcast? How can they join us and take part in what we're doing?
Well, I think the first thing that I want you to do, and do it right now so you don't forget, while you're sitting in your living room or wherever you are, pull out your phone or your clock and set it to 2:18.
Yeah.
And when that clock or phone goes off at 2:18,
PM only.
AM, that'll work too. I mean, there's people that work the night shift, right?
Okay. All right.
If they work the night shift, you can do 2:18 PM or an AM. But pray for Anderson University, and pray for God's freedom and favor, that he will continue to bless, and that we will continue the ministry where faith and education intersect. And that's intentional. That's work. But God needs to be in front of all this. And in our Faithful Campus framework, we see everything through the eyes of faith. So first and foremost, pray for us. Second of all, I always say it like this. We want to be in your giving tree. And what that means is, to me, is you want to give to your family. You want to give to your church family. But you also want to give to your university family. And so we are part of the university family. And I don't need to be number one if you're pulling money out of your kids' hands. That's not a good thing. Give the kids the money. They need the groceries. And support your local church. I mean, they're ministering to you on a daily basis. But Anderson University made an impact in your life. And as a result of that, we want to be part of your giving tree. And if you would give to Anderson University, we would be so thankful, and we'd be honored to steward that gift to the best of our ability. I also would like you to be an evangelist for Anderson University. Is that when you go out and share the good news of what's happening at Anderson University, tell them that God's alive and we're open for business. And the more people that we can gather around our table, the more opportunity we have to transform lives. So share that good news with people. We were at a appointment today, and my wife was, as she always does, engaging with the staff. And the person in the room said, well, my daughter's going to go to college, but she doesn't know where she's going to go. And Cheryl, being Cheryl, says, well, she needs to go to Anderson University. And so we had a Jesus moment in that waiting room, and I gave her my business card, and we have the mother and daughter going to come to Anderson University for a visit. So share the good news of what's happening at Anderson. Then encourage our staff, encourage yourself in creating an environment for Anderson University and creating a place where we can be excited about working here and to be a part of what God is doing in the lives of our students and the lives of our faculty and the lives of our staff and administration. And we would be thrilled to death if you would be part of the AU team. I like to sign some of my letters as AU and you. If it's AU and you, we can make this work, but we need you and we need your support in prayer and giving and encouraging, and also in sharing the good news of what's happening here.
Yeah. I think on your screen you can see Scott's email, and we want to invite you to reach out. If you have questions or comments that you want to make, that's his personal email, and he will see the things that you share, and either he or one of the cabinet will get back to you. We'd really be glad to hear from you, want to hear from you. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit more about Anderson University tonight and some of the good things that are happening. We really do consider folks that would take an interest enough to come to pick us up on screen as part of the AU family. And so thank you for your support. Thanks for being part of what we're doing, and you're praying for us. It makes you absolutely a part of it. Your giving does the same. I would be remiss not to give a short commercial for our Orange and Black Give Back. It's More Days, More Good, March 16th through the 20th. And you'll hear more from us, but we would love for you to participate in our day of giving that's coming up. So hope that you'll reach out to us. Hope that you'll enjoy the rest of your evening. And as Trent Palmer often says to us, God bless, go Ravens.